Imagine you're standing on a ski slope. Snow crunches under your skis, the air is sharp with frost, and on the horizon, you see white peaks. It looks just like the Alps, Switzerland, Austria, maybe northern Italy. But then you turn around and notice, just a few kilometers away, the desert. An ocean of sand, dry, sun-scorched, a completely different world. It's not a dream. This is Trojena, Saudi Arabia's Alps of the future, rising in the heart of Neom. Saudi Arabia promises that Trojena will become a place that changes the very idea of tourism. Skiing in a country where summer temperatures reach 40 degrees. Artificial lakes created high in the mountains, surrounded by luxury hotels, villas, and conference centers. It's here in 2029 that the Asian Winter Games are due to take place, an event meant to show the world that the Saudis can bring snow even to places where it has never fallen. For the Saudi authorities, Trojena is more than just a resort. It is a symbol of courage and power, proof that the country can change geography and climate in order to realize its ambitions. If we can make snow in the desert, we can do anything, investors say. But critics ask a different question. Is this still vision, or already madness? Is it really worth building ski slopes in a place where water is worth more than gold? Abdul Rahman looks at Trojena with enthusiasm. Imagine it. We'll have our own Alps. We won't need to fly to Europe to ski. It'll be a paradise of tourism and luxury. Aisha answers coolly. But is it really for us? Will an ordinary Saudi be able to go there to ski? Or will it be a playground only for the rich and for foreigners? The story of Trojena is a story of snow and sand, luxury and absurdity, dreams and hubris. It is the question of whether humankind truly needs to build the Alps in the desert instead of learning to live with what nature provides. Because Trojena is not just a resort. It is a test, whether Saudi Arabia's future will be built in harmony with nature or on attempts to completely subdue it. Building Trojena is a task that, on paper, looks like the script of a science fiction film. Creating a ski resort in a country where snow has never fallen naturally means combining cutting-edge engineering, logistics on a global scale, and financial courage on a level the world has barely seen. The first challenge is the mountains themselves. Trojena lies in the Sarawat range, which really does rise above 2,000 meters. That gives some climatic potential. In winter, the temperatures can drop to just a few degrees above freezing. But to build ski slopes, you need more than cool air. You need the right terrain, gradients, and infrastructure. That is why the Saudis are planning to reshape whole mountainsides, cutting new runs, stabilizing slopes, building tunnels and viaducts to link hotels with the pistes. The second challenge is snow. There is none here naturally, so it has to be manufactured. Snow cannons, cooling systems, and climate control installations hidden beneath the slopes will do the work. Huge reservoirs will be built, fed partly from artificial mountain lakes, partly from desalinated seawater, to supply the machines that will produce snow around the clock. The third element is buildings and infrastructure. Luxury hotels, villas, restaurants, and sports centers are all meant to be constructed in the style of the mountain architecture of the future. Glass facades, bridges suspended over valleys, gondola lifts gliding above a desert landscape. Each building will have to be cooled and air-conditioned, and at the same time withstand extreme temperature swings, from chilly winter nights to blazing summer heat. The most spectacular element will be the artificial lake, a huge mountain reservoir that is meant to be the heart of Trojena. It will be created by building dams and flooding an entire valley. Around the lake, paths, viewing terraces, and leisure centers are planned. But already one question hangs over it. Where will Saudi Arabia find enough water to keep such a lake alive? The construction of Trojena is also a logistical operation. Thousands of tons of steel, concrete, glass, and machinery must be transported into the mountains to a place far from any major city. That requires new roads, airstrips, and logistics hubs. In practice, Trojena becomes a project that transforms not only the landscape but the entire infrastructure of the Tabuk region. Abdul Rahman says, "It will be an engineering miracle, proof that we can do anything, even build the Alps in the heart of the desert. Aisha replies, "But every miracle has its price. How much nature will we destroy to create this paradise? Will the mountains survive after we reshape them for games and tourists?" The construction techniques used in Trojena show that this is not only a tourism project, but also a political manifesto. Saudi Arabia wants to prove to the world that nothing is impossible. But when humans build winter in the desert, are they really conquering nature? Or simply pushing the limits a bit further in preparation for the next catastrophe? Trojena is meant to be a resort that looks as if it were taken from another planet. On one side, snowy slopes where children learn to ski. On the other, the desert sun reminding you that you're in Saudi Arabia, not Switzerland. It is a blend of two worlds that, on the map, should never meet. Everyday life in Trojena will be the everyday life of a tourist. Imagine a morning. You wake up in a luxury villa overlooking an artificial mountain lake. In the distance, you see ski slopes, and, after breakfast, you put on your ski jacket and boots, even though you know that just a few kilometers away, the temperature is above 30 degrees. You step into a gondola that whisks you in minutes to a summit covered in artificial snow. In the afternoon, instead of returning to your hotel, you can choose from other attractions. The plans for Trojena include hiking trails in the mountains, wellness centers looking out over the desert, and futuristic pools supposedly heated with renewable energy. In the evening, life moves to the entertainment district, restaurants, clubs, and concert halls designed to attract international artists. For Saudi Arabia, Trojena is meant to become what the Palm Islands became for Dubai, a showcase of modernity and luxury. On paper, every Saudi citizen will be able to visit, but the prices of rooms and ski passes tell a different story. This will be a place for the wealthy, not only for the Saudi elite, but for tourists from Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Abdul Rahman speaks about it with pride. "We won't need to fly to Switzerland. People from Switzerland will come here. Trojena will be a symbol that we can compete with the Alps and the Dolomites." Aisha answers with reserve, "But will an ordinary Saudi go skiing there? How many of us can afford that kind of luxury? Will Trojena be a place that is ours only in name?" Everyday life in Trojena will be the routine of premium tourism: hotels, spas, luxury villas, skiing on artificial snow, and concerts under desert stars. Beautiful images that raise a simple question: is this still life, or just a spectacle in which ordinary people are only extras? When, in 2022, it was announced that Saudi Arabia would host the 2029 Asian Winter Games, the world held its breath. Not because the games themselves are unusual, they are held regularly, but because, for the first time, they are to be held in a place where winter doesn't exist. Trojena is meant to be the arena where Saudi Arabia's dream is fulfilled, that the world will see it not just as a desert full of oil, but as a country capable of creating the Alps in the heart of the sands. According to the plans, in 2029, athletes from all over Asia, from Japan and Korea to Kazakhstan and Iran, will head to Trojena. They are meant to compete in alpine skiing, snowboarding, figure skating, and ice hockey. Stadia and sports arenas will be built in the mountains, and artificial snow will cover slopes prepared specially for the occasion. Saudi Arabia promises that everything will run like clockwork: modern courses, the cleanest ice, flawless logistics. But the world asks, is it really possible to stage winter games in a country where the average temperature in January is over 20 degrees? How much energy will it take to turn desert mountains into ski slopes and ice rinks? What will be the environmental costs, not just financial, but ecological, especially in a country where water is scarce? Supporters of the project say, these are not games against nature. These are games thanks to technology. Saudi Arabia will show that in the age of climate change, you can host sport anywhere in the world. Critics reply, this isn't about sport, it's about PR. Games that have nothing to do with winter tradition or local climate, and everything to do with image building. Abdul Rahman is excited. The world will come to us. We'll be at the center of attention, just as Qatar was during the World Cup. This will be our moment. Aisha is more skeptical. But will it be a moment that really changes anything in our country? Or will the games be just a show for outsiders, after which we're left with the bills and dead snow? The Asian Winter Games in Trojena are something more than sport. They are a political spectacle, a demonstration of technology, and an attempt to write Saudi Arabia into the global calendar of big events. If it works, Trojena may become a new capital of winter tourism, on the desert. If it fails, the world will remember it as the most surreal winter games in history. Snow in Trojena will not fall from the sky. It will fall from machines. Saudi Arabia is planning a system in which winter becomes an engineering product, just like motorways or skyscrapers. The basis will be artificial snow produced by snow cannons spraying microscopic droplets of water, frozen in a fraction of a second. In Europe, this technology has been used for years to supplement natural snow in the Alps. In Trojena, it is not a supplement, it is the whole winter. Then come ice rinks and indoor arenas where the temperature will be held down by huge cooling systems. Imagine an ice hockey arena where it is freezing inside while a short drive away, the desert bakes at 35 degrees. It's a contrast that sounds like an experiment from a climate laboratory. Trojena's technology also includes transport infrastructure. Gondola lifts are to carry tourists from luxury hotels to the slopes. Roads and tunnels connecting Trojena with the rest of Neom are to provide rapid links to the airport. Saudi Arabia promises that everything will run on renewable energy, sun and wind. In theory, Trojena's winter chill is supposed to be green, climate neutral. But the questions don't go away. How much energy will it really take to keep snow and ice alive in a country where the climate fights every degree of cold? How much water will be needed to feed the snow cannons in a place that already relies on desalination? Experts warn that artificial snow is expensive, and producing it in a desert climate could be prohibitively costly. Critics add, this is snow made of oil. Even if they talk about renewables, in practice, much of the system will still be backed by traditional energy. Abdul Rahman is enchanted by the vision. Imagine it. Desert outside, winter paradise inside. It will be something no one else has done. Proof that we can tame nature. Aisha counters with a question. But does nature really need to be tamed? Does snow that comes from machines mean the same as snow that falls from the sky? The technology of Trojena is a promise of eternal winter in the desert. Winter that never ends as long as the machines keep running. But it is also an experiment that forces us to ask, is the future about creating new worlds, or about destroying the balance we were given? Trojena is not meant to be an ordinary resort. It's not just slopes and hotels. It is a carefully staged spectacle of luxury, designed to draw the wealthy, celebrities and tourists from all over the world to the desert. Saudi Arabia makes no secret of the fact that Trojena should compete not only with the Alps, but also with Dubai and the most exclusive resorts on the planet. Picture a tourist from Europe or America. They land in Neom by private jet. Then a luxury helicopter flies them straight to Trojena. A villa with a panoramic view of the artificial lake is waiting, complete with a pool under the stars, and a service team ready to fulfill every wish. In the afternoon, they can ski. In the evening, they play golf. At night, they attend an intimate concert by an international star. The hotels in Trojena are meant to be more than places to sleep. They are futuristic palaces where architecture blends glass, steel, and desert stone. Designers talk about immersive spaces, in which guests experience interactive art, fusion cuisine, and concerts enhanced with holographic technology. This is tourism at a science fiction level. Trojena is also planned as a center of wellness and conferences. Saudi Arabia wants business leaders from all over the world to sign deals here, surrounded by mountains and artificial snow. High-end spas will offer treatments using desert minerals and water from the Red Sea. The aim is for Trojena to become not only a resort, but a global brand. But the luxury of Trojena raises uncomfortable questions. How much of this will be available to ordinary Saudis? How many citizens will be able to afford a night in a villa costing thousands of dollars? Will Trojena transform society? Or will it be another enclave for the global elite, built on land that never belonged to them in any real sense? Abdul Rahman is thrilled. This will be our Monaco, our Switzerland, our Dubai, all in one. The world will talk about us, not about others. Aisha answers bitterly. But will the world talk about us, or about the rich who come for a week and disappear? And will stay with the bills and empty snow. Tourism in Trojena is not just about skiing. It is about luxury designed to dazzle the world, and luxury, by its nature, usually shines for the few and leaves everyone else in the shadows. Trojena, like the line or octagon, stirs emotions long before it is built. For some, it is proof that Saudi Arabia can stretch the boundaries of imagination and redraw geography. For others, it is a textbook example of arrogance, an attempt to prove that nature can be bent to human will, no matter the cost. Critics ask bluntly, does it make sense to build winter in the desert at a time when the world is fighting climate change and water scarcity? How much energy and how many resources must be consumed to maintain ski slopes and ice rinks in a country where every drop of water is precious? Environmentalists warn that Trojena could become the most environmentally unfriendly resort on Earth, a symbol of luxury built at the planet's expense. There are also social doubts. Will Trojena really be for Saudi citizens, or for tourists from Europe, America, and Asia? How many Saudis will have the means to ski and stay in luxury hotels? Will the resort become yet another gated playground for the wealthy, out of reach for most? Yet alongside criticism there is hope. Supporters say, Trojena is a symbol of courage. When the world talks about climate change and the death of winter sports, Saudi Arabia will show that it can create snow where it never existed. For young Saudis, it can be a source of pride. Finally, they do not need to fly to Switzerland to see mountains, lakes, and slopes. The 2029 Asian Winter Games are meant to be the moment of truth. If they succeed, Trojena will enter history as the place that proved that even the desert can host winter emotions. If they fail, the world will remember it as the greatest mirage in 21st century tourism. Abdul Rahman speaks with pride. This will be our great moment. The world will come to us and see that Saudi Arabia can do more than anyone else. Aisha answers, but what will be left when the world goes home? Will the snow remain? Or only the bills and mountains that were never really ours? Trojena is a project walking the line between dream and absurdity. For some, it is the future of tourism. For others, it is proof that instead of learning to live with nature, we are trying to defeat it. And the question that hangs in the air is this: is snow in the desert a miracle of technology, or a symbol of a civilization desperate to prove it can do everything, even when it shouldn't? Trojena is not an ordinary project. It is a civilizational experiment in which the stakes are not only hotels, ski slopes, and sporting events, but also the way humans see nature and their place in the world. Saudi Arabia says, we can do anything. We can create the Alps in the desert, a lake in the mountains, winter where there has always been summer. This is no longer a question of tourism. It is a question about the limits of human pride and ambition. For enthusiasts, Trojena is proof that the future has no borders. If we can bring snow to the desert, we can colonize Mars, turn oceans into energy farms, and transform sand into cities of the future. It will be our great triumph, they say. The world will come to us and we will show that we can create wonders. But critics warn that wonders have their price. Artificial snow means millions of liters of water and energy in a country built on desalination. Mountain lakes are an investment that can change entire ecosystems. Air-conditioned halls and ski slopes are symbols of a luxury that will only ever be accessible to a few. Snow that does not fall from the sky is only an illusion, they say. It is theater for the rich, a mirage that will fade into the sand. And yet Trojena fascinates because it raises questions that cannot be ignored. Should humans fight nature or respect it? Is the tourism of the future about adapting to the climate or forcing the climate to adapt to us? Is luxury an end in itself or just another facade hiding emptiness behind it? Abdul Rahman sees in Trojena a chance for national pride. We don't have to envy anyone. They will envy us. We have oil, the sea, and now our own Alps. Aisha answers bitterly. But who will actually ski there? Us or them? Will our children have access to this paradise, or will they only see it on television? Trojena is like a mirror reflecting the future of our civilization. On one side, a dream of a world without limits. On the other, a warning that not every boundary should be crossed, because snow that must be manufactured will never be the same as snow that falls from the sky. And yet this very mirage draws the eye. Trojena is not just a resort. It is a symbol of both the strength and the weakness of humankind. Strength, because we can turn desert into winter. Weakness, because in doing so, we may lose something that cannot be recovered. But the story of Neom does not end in the mountains. Because if Trojena is a winter mirage, then Sindala is its maritime twin, an island of luxury where skiing is replaced by yachts, golf courses, and concerts under the stars of the Red Sea. There, too, dreams come true. And there, too, questions arise about whether luxury is anything more than another carefully crafted illusion.